Well, good morning and welcome. I'm Dr. Jerry Rabelais, Chairman of the Department of Pediatrics at the University of Louisville and member of the University of Louisville Physicians Group. I want to thank you all for coming this morning, this great event. I was just telling Dr. Gansel, it'll be good to fill our day with events like this all day long. We have patients who have come from as far away as Benton, Kentucky. Thank you for coming to be with us. And I have to acknowledge our three senior cardiologists who really started this program over 40 years ago, Dr. Solinger, Dr. Elbel, and Dr. Reese. And Dr. Gansel will have more to say about them shortly. Well, the purpose of today's press conference is to announce a nearly $57,000 gift, a wonderful gift that will ensure that nearly 6,000 children will receive care across the state of Kentucky, literally from Ashland to Paducah. You know, for more than 4 decades, these doctors and staff that have been affiliated with the University of Louisville have literally packed their bags every week and got on the road and brought care to where it needs to be delivered, near to children's homes, so they don't have to travel as far to come for that care. These children with congenital heart disease represent a very important part of what we do, and it's a critical role that we play in coming to them rather than them having to come to us. The equipment needed, though, to do diagnostics, whether it's an EKG machine or an echocardiogram machine, is big, it's expensive and bulky, and it needs to be transported in a safe way. And so a series of vans over the years have had to be used to get this equipment back and forth, and this will be just the latest van in that important task. It needed to be replaced, and as soon as we heard that, we began the process of trying to make it go. And I know it limped along, Chris, for a few years, but we finally now have a great replacement. So because of this great gift from the Daniel Pitino Foundation, I want to thank Mr. Carmichael and other members of the board who are here for this great gift. You're ensuring that these children will continue to get the care that they deserve from these great physicians who are here today. The University of Louisville Physicians is a large multi-specialty group, now over 600 doctors and 78 different specialties and subspecialties. We're going to continue to do this work as University of Louisville Physicians now sponsors this work, this important work that's gone on for 4 decades. We're the professors and researchers and teachers at the University of Louisville, and we want to ensure that those patients get the very best care and the latest efforts to deal with their complex congenital heart disease problems. We have with us today Dr. Tony Gansel, Dean of the School of Medicine. I'd like her to come up and make a few remarks at this point. Tony?
Thank you, Dr. Rabelais. The physicians at the University of Louisville School of Medicine have been reaching out to the families of the Commonwealth for many, many years, and our Department of Pediatrics has really been a model department for these efforts, caring for children and families that need specialized care but cannot always make the trip to Louisville for screening or for follow-up visits. Our pediatric cardiologists are very, very active in their outreach, traveling all over the state, providing top-tier care to children close to home. The mission of the School of Medicine is to improve the health of our patients and our communities. The mission of the University of Louisville Physicians is to provide patient-centered care based on excellence and based on compassion. This beautiful van that we will see shortly is a very generous gift of the Daniel Pitino Foundation, and it's going to allow our pediatric cardiologists to continue to provide that excellent, compassionate care in a very patient-centered way. The program was launched, as Dr. Rabelais said, over 40 years ago by Drs. Elbel and Solinger and Reese, who are with us today, and they've really got this going and sustained it, and it will be continued to be sustained by Dr. Chris Johnrood, Dr. Walter Subject. Is Dr. Holland here too, Dr. Brian Holland? And a number of others. On behalf of the University of Louisville School of Medicine, I'd like to thank the Daniel Pitino Foundation for funding this invaluable tool that will allow our physicians to continue to provide this care for children and their patients, and to ensure that they have access to the best care and the best physicians without worrying about making a long trip. Please welcome Mr. Ron Carmichael of the Daniel Pitino Foundation, and thank you for your generosity.
Well, good morning. Well, I don't know if this is the largest gift we've made, but it's the most attention we've ever received. Thank you for this. We're a little overwhelmed with the reception we have here today. I'd like to introduce Jordan Sutcher and Mike Marnhout, who are members of our board. And I'd like to also say that as many of you know, Coach Pitino is sorry he can't be here today. He's coaching the Puerto Rican national team. As a matter of fact, I think he tipped off at 10 a.m. this morning at the time of this news conference. And he plays Brazil today, United States tomorrow, and Venezuela on Thursday. And he said, if you're a betting guy, do not bet on Puerto Rico. So he thinks he may be back early from that. A little bit about the foundation. Daniel Pitino Foundation was started in '89, and the foundation is in memory of the Joanne and Rick Pitino's son, Daniel. Daniel died at an infant age. Some of you in here may be old enough, if you're getting close to my age, I got to be careful, but some of you may remember that event occurred simultaneously with the time when Coach Pitino was able to take Providence College to the Final Four. And another interesting part about that is they actually played in Freedom Hall that year, and that event occurred during, right after he had they just made the Final Four for a small school like Providence. So they were dealing with grief, and they were also dealing with the excitement and emotion at the same time. And as a result of that event, Coach Pitino and Joanne decided they wanted to form the Daniel Pitino Foundation, and in honor of their son Daniel. And for 25 years, the foundation has supported causes that generally that can help the lives, whether it's in medical care, financial care, whatever, anything that has to do with helping the lives of young children. And we have a very dedicated board. They help us raise the money. The tough part about this sometimes is where do you distribute the money? And in true Coach Pitino fashion, I approached him at one of our grant meetings, and we have a lot of paper to review, and my request was, I said, Coach, I think this is a very worthwhile cause. I think we should support a portion. I think they're asking for assistance in trying to purchase this van. And his response was, let's just buy the van. And that's kind of typical. I mean, I've always seen that with him. And he said, let's just buy the van. And I said, all of it? He said, yeah, so we'll buy the van. And I said, is that a motion? But, you know, nobody voted against him. But we are very, very pleased to have been able to provide this van. I was with him on Saturday, and I told him we were having this event today, and I said, is there any remarks you would like for me to share with the group? And his response to me was, he said, make sure that what we do is not the purpose of this news conference. What the purpose is to recognize the physicians and the staff and the management team and the School of Medicine and all the things that the university do across the Commonwealth, the people that get up and leave in the morning and come back at the end of the week and provide pediatric care to 5,600 young people throughout the Commonwealth. And so his message to you is, this is not about us, this is about you. So on behalf of the foundation, we say thanks to you.
Well, good morning, everyone. I'm Dr. Walt Subchick, one of the senior pediatric cardiologists for our division, and I'd like to extend my gratitude to Mr. Carmichael and the foundation for this wonderful gift today and for coming here to celebrate this very special moment in the long history of pediatric cardiology at U of L and our traveling clinics. These clinics had their beginning over almost 50 years ago, or more than 50 years ago, in the 1950s, starting out with general pediatricians who had an interest in congenital heart disease, receiving some funding from the state to support outreach clinics. And these physicians, before even there was a defined specialty in pediatric cardiology, would go visit these clinics, see these patients, and do the best that they could. During the 60s and 70s, our own specialty matured, and these clinics matured and became more sophisticated with more technology to travel along with these clinics. And my colleagues here, Dr. Elbow, Reese, and Salinger, tell me wonderful stories of small little caravans, of station wagons and cars with medical students and residents and nursing staff, all traveling for days on end to various sites around the state to provide care to these patients in their local communities and support for the local physicians and hospitals. These funds began to dry up in the 1970s and were completely removed from state support in the 1980s. And for these programs to continue, it was up to the Division of Cardiology, affiliated within the university and now completely part of the University of Louisville Physicians, to provide all of the financial support for the equipment, the staff, and the vehicles. And we did that for over 30 years. And now, finally, today, we get some help. And I'm thankful for that. The need for this type of service remains unique and special today. Pediatric cardiology remains a highly technical subspecialty with the center focused in large cities, and even today, only Louisville and Lexington provide pediatric cardiology specialty services for the entire state. While it may be that the specialty is in these big cities, our patients are not. It might surprise some of you to know that 1 out of 100 babies is born with some kind of congenital heart defect. And most of them need open heart surgery in the first year or two of life. And 90% of them today live into adulthood. So it doesn't take a math genius to realize there are many, many thousands of patients throughout our state who need ongoing care. And although their operations were successful and they are alive, they are not cured of their condition, and many need lifelong care well into their adulthood, fatherhood, motherhood, and grandfatherhood. And that care is brought to the local communities because of this program. The van is critical to our operation. It transports currently 6 staff, including medical assistants, ultrasonographers, the insurance check-in people, and they travel from Ashland to Paducah, and over the years, many places in between, with our current locations, including Ashland and Paducah, to be Owensboro, Bowling Green, Campbellsville, Murray, and Elizabethtown. While there are 10 doctors who share in a rotation of these traveling clinics, the staff and the travel team are the same. They get in the van week to week, and they travel 4 days out of every week, and they see as many as 50 patients in a day to come up to that 56 or 5,700 yearly that we see. They not only help provide care to these communities, they become local citizens. Although the doctors come back and forth, because we'll travel separately in our car, because of the complexity and just the sheer wear and tear on staff and equipment, the travel team packs up and stays usually 2 nights a week in the local communities. They're away from their family those 2 nights, but they're developing lifelong relationships with the local restaurateurs and the local hotel people, and they become great ambassadors to our university and its mission. And I really want to take a minute today to personally thank them. Some of them have worked for us for over 15 years doing this each and every week. So ladies, good job. Well, we've had many vans over the years, and this last one, as Dr. Rabelais refers to, needed replacement. Unlike most Kentucky bourbons, this thing did not age well. In the last few years, it became quite unreliable, and more than once I received a text message or a phone call that the van was broken down on the road or it wasn't starting in the morning, and we didn't have a way to go see our patients. And for many of these patients, if we don't go and travel, because of their limited resources, they get no care at all. So these clinics and the traveling team are vital to our patients, and as Dr. Rabelais and Dr. Gansel said, it's vital to our mission to both teach and serve our state. We also help the local communities provide excellent care in their communities. We help the local hospitals provide the services for them, and it helps sustain our relationships with the communities, with the hospitals, and our many referring physicians. Those who do require care, either be it surgical or intensive hospital care, come here to Louisville to Coast Children's Hospital and join with us in that mission to provide both clinical care and teaching here at the University of Louisville. And the van is a super essential piece of that component and that mission. I want to again thank the Daniel Pitino Foundation for joining our traveling team now. You can come along anytime, and to provide the funds for this new reliable van and to help ensure that our services can reach those patients who need it most. I'd like to conclude by introducing one of our families who've come all the way from Western Kentucky in Benton, over 3 hours away, the Story family. And they provide us, folks can stand up for a bit, and they provide us a multi-generational example of the benefits of our traveling clinic. Father Matt here was born with a serious heart condition which required open heart surgery when he was an infant. But he has rarely had to drive from Benton to Louisville for his outpatient care and is benefited by often monthly visits to our traveling clinics when he's having a few difficulties, but at least yearly. He represents a growing number of adults with congenital heart disease. As I mentioned, 90% survive into adulthood, and currently there are more adults with congenital heart disease than there are children because they're living so long. And these people have often one-of-a-kind hearts, and there isn't a lot of experience in the adult cardiology world in taking care of those. So basically their care stays with us throughout their lifetime, and physicians who train specifically in adult congenital heart disease are being trained even now because of this unique growing population. Our second generation patient here is daughter JC, who has essentially the identical heart defect that her father has, also having a heart surgery when she was a child or infant, and also rarely having to come to Louisville for any testing, and sees us in our Paducah clinic on a regular basis. And lastly, standing next to me and hovering over all of them is our mother hen, Jill. Jill tells me she is so nervous for each visit that she insists on scheduling separate clinic visits for her husband and her daughter. And because we pack up the van and travel to her, she doesn't have to pack up her family twice as often and travel to Louisville. And so we are uniquely qualified to help her with her nerves. So I know Jill and Matt and JC and all of the families who benefit from this generous donation by the Daniel Pitino Foundation would once again like to join me in thanking you all. And I will now return the podium to our chairman, Dr. Rabelais.
Thank you, Dr. Subject. Well, I'd like to invite you to finally see this van you've heard so much about. Louis the Cardinal Bird is here to lead us out to the van, so it'll be easy to find the van. So follow him on out. We're dedicated today to the children of the state of Kentucky with congenital heart disease. Thanks again.
There.